Well, hello everybody. Welcome back to the Geeknd Live, but not quite live. We're recording this live and we're doing it as a premiere. So if you are here in the chat, contribute, get involved. I'll also be in the chat as well. So you've got two versions of me contributing with you. And if you're watching at some point in the future, then leave a comment as well. We're here to talk about the Bad Batch final 4 episodes, actually, along with Chad Campbell, who will be joining us in a moment. I've been doing chat batches throughout the season as and when life allows. And we didn't quite get to episodes 13 or 14, and certainly did not get to episodes 15 and 16, the finale. So we're going to discuss all of those episodes in a briefish chat batch, and we are, of course, going to include spoilers aplenty. So yeah, if you haven't got around to it yet, then you should probably jump off this stream, watch those 4 episodes, and then come back to it. So joining me to discuss the Bad Batch Season 2, as ever, is Mr. Chad, the Stopwatch Campbell. Long story if you don't know what the stopwatch element to his broadcasting name is, but Chad, hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Jamie?
Yeah, man. No, it's good to see you again. Thank you for joining me. And just briefly, for those who are meeting you for the first time, tell us about your. There's a lot to the life of Chad, the Stopwatch Campbell in general, but tell us about your internet presence.
Sure. Yeah. So I am the host and creator of Star Wars Lunch Special. That's a podcast you can find on pretty much everywhere that you get your podcasts from, unless this is potentially like another country and there's some weird thing that I'd have never heard of, in which case it's probably not on there. But for the most part, it's on everything. And I talk in a half hour about recapping different Star Wars things. I went through The Mandalorian. I didn't do Bad Batch because I was doing it on here. So I figured, I'll just grab that at some point, but I'm going to be doing some more episodes coming up where I discuss the Bad Batch, kind of my overall season thoughts and all that.
Cool. So more to come, and I'm sure you'll be revving it back up again for Ahsoka when that comes as well. Now, we are actually joined by a third guest. Well, a second guest. There's 3 of us today taking part in this chat batch recording stream sort of live thing. And he is a familiar name, maybe not a familiar face to some, but definitely a familiar name to the majority that will be watching. If you're a regular, let's bring him in. It is Glenn, the Geeky Hippie, or whatever he calls himself these days. It changes a lot. Hello, Glenn. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. How you doing?
Yeah, great, man. All the better for seeing you. So for those who are meeting Glenn for the first time, Glenn is a regular on these streams. He's always, not always actually, you've let us down a few times, but generally in the chat, contributing, getting involved, keeping the chat going, bringing some good vibes to the table. But also, Glenn, you do have your own internet presence as well here on YouTube. Tell us about your channels, plural, right?
Yeah, I have 2 channels. A year and a half ago, I started What the Adaptation. At the time, we were reviewing the Wheel of Time TV show, so we spelled it W-O-T for Wheel of Time. But yeah, on that channel, we review adaptations from one form to another. Typically, it's been book to TV. We've done 1 film. We're looking at doing some more films down the line. We're currently doing The Expanse by James S.A. Corey. It was on Sci-Fi Channel and Amazon later. My other channel is called Non-Terrestrial Half-Life. There's a story behind that name. You can watch the video on our channel about that. There me and my buddy Bill, we reread books that we read in the first half of our life. So we're not just booktube, we're nostalgia tube, reading stuff from our youth. And when you're a man of a certain age, reading stuff from when you were a kid is quite interesting.
Yeah, I need to get back to my Goosebumps days. I think that's about as highbrow as I ever got in my life, to be honest. Sounds great, Glenn. Thank you for telling us about it. And I have seen some of your stuff, and I'm going to link to it as well in the video description. Also, I'll link to what Chad said as well about himself. So don't worry, Chad, we're not leaving you out. So if you feel inspired by my 2 guests during this chat batch, then go and check them out elsewhere on Planet Web. All right, so we're here to talk about the Bad Batch. We'll be discussing very briefly, first of all, chapters or episodes, right? Chapters is Mandalorian. Is it chapters Bad Batch? I can't remember now. Is it? No, it's episodes. So
No,
episode 13.
Chapters is just Mando.
Pabu. And episode 14, Tipping Point. We'll then go on to 15, The Summit, 16, Plan 99, which we'll talk about as a whole because that makes sense. If you've seen those two episodes, you'll know what I'm talking about here. So, final warning, spoilers are coming. So, first of all, I've got a confession to make in regards to episodes 13 and 14, Glenn and Chad. I did see them a while ago, pretty much as they dropped, but I have no recollection of them. It was a long while ago, and I saw them in Mexico. And as the famous saying goes, what happens in Mexico stays in Mexico. I might have been drunk. I don't know, but I have no memory of these two episodes. Can you help me, please?
Yeah.
Chad, you want to take it?
Yeah, I'll take this one. So episode 13 was Pabu. That's where they find like that island with the nice people that are kind of accepting them.
Yeah, okay.
That was the one.
Right. And then they start getting flooded, right? There was a flood.
Yeah.
The tide come in. The tide came in.
Yeah, and
there was a tsunami.
Yeah, they like helped them.
Yeah, it was a little bit more dramatic than a tide coming in, wasn't it? Yeah.
They didn't call it a tsunami, though.
Yeah. Tsunami doesn't exist in Star Wars lingo.
Not yet.
That's true.
It was a sea surge.
Okay. So there was water. Anything else?
Nah, that was kind of the main thing. It was very much a one-off, but it was also kind of like, it felt like a calm before the storm type thing where they were at a point where they were like, hey, we kind of feel liked and accepted here. Should we maybe just settle down and give up this quest? Like, should we give up the fight and just kind of be here? I think it was asking bigger questions and things that we're going to play off. Like, so Wanda Sykes' character was in that episode largely. What was the name of her character? I should know this. Fee. Yes.
And there's a bit of chemistry between Tech and Fee, right?
Yes. Oh, yeah. So that was kind of just getting set up there a bit. Seeing that someone knows and understands that Tech and still like kind of likes him and respects him was important for things we're going to get to later.
Okay. Marks out of 10 for that episode?
I think I gave it like a 7.5 maybe. I did enjoy Pabu itself, the island. I thought it was quite neat. It made me think of like an ancient Greek settlement or something, like a colony along the Mediterranean, but with the columns. But I liked the look and feel of it, and I liked the idea of the place, but there's no story if you stay there. You know, you got to have drama for a story. So I kind of hope they don't stay there, because when they do, that'll probably be the end of the show. Yeah.
Well, we'll find out, I guess, in season 3. But I think they sort of alluded to it again in the final episode. But we'll come on to that. But okay. Well, I'm gonna. So, Glenn, sorry, did you give it a score? Did I miss your score?
Yeah, 7.5.
Chad, confirm your score, please.
7.
I'm going to go with a 6.5, and that's for Chad reciting it for me, to be honest. I'll have to go back and watch it again to get the full experience, but I'm just going to give you a rating, Chad, 6.5. Do better next time, please. Right. What else? Then we had episode 14, Tipping Point. Now, I think I have more memories here. This was a crosshair-heavy episode, was it? Who wants to take this one?
That's the one where he tried to send a message to the other clones, right? The rest of the Bad Batch. Yeah, it's all him in prison, being tortured, trying to break him. I don't remember it that much because I watched all the episodes yesterday, so they're all kind of mushed except for the last 2, which I rewatched this morning, just to have everything as fresh on the ones we were able to focus
that's exactly what I should have done really before, but I only just watched the final 2 episodes this week, so didn't quite have time to rewatch these as well. But I feel like I enjoyed this one, if memory lack of serves. Chad, what were your feelings towards this one, Tipping Point?
I dug it. It was probably like the lowest rated of the Crosshair focused episodes for me. But I mean, literally every, I think, Crosshair episode's gotten like a 10 for me. So this is an 8.5, which is still great. Really enjoyed it. It was doing a good setup. I have dug how this show is like showing us the stakes. Like, I think my qualms with Mando this season was that there didn't feel like there was a lot of stakes. I was kind of waiting for it to build to like there was a big point, and it never got there. The season of Mando was comparable to Book of Boba Fett stakes. You know, it matters to a very select group of people, but Bad Batch has made it so that we're learning things that are impacting everyone. And so I enjoy how successful it was for me in making me feel like everything matters here.
And Glenn, what would you give Tipping Point score-wise out of 10?
Score-wise, I'd probably give it a 6. You know, I'm not. I don't like Crosshair. I haven't liked Crosshair since before he betrayed the chat batch. You know, the Bad Batch. So I enjoy some of the Crosshair episodes. The Outpost, I think, might be one of the best episodes of the season, if not the series. The Outpost was just great. But for this one, yeah, 6 is what I'd give.
Yeah, I do have more memories of this one, and generally I have enjoyed the Crosshair focused episodes far more than the Bad Batch themselves focused episodes. I'm going to give this one, as far as memory serves, and I look forward to going back to this one. I give this one a 7.5, I think. But my scores will get higher. I'll tell you that.
What a guess there, Jamie. I feel like you don't remember this enough to to validate.
I'm pretty sure I enjoyed this one. I
Good.
want to know what was going on. Was I drunk when I watched these? Because I normally have a fairly good memory of what I consume, but clearly not when alcohol is being consumed as well. Maybe I was drunk. I don't know, because I remember I was preparing to leave Mexico after 6 months. I wasn't just there on a vacation. And I was also preparing for various things. And I remember, Chad, we were talking about trying to do this before I left Mexico. And I think I may have just crammed them in, thinking that we were going to record maybe a review for those two. And then a lot of stuff happened. We never did that recording, and it's just gone somewhere. Or I was drunk. One or both. Anyway, let's now go on to 15 and 16, The Summit and Plan 99, which are fresher in my memory. I feel like I can contribute a little bit more to this discussion. And we'll do it as one, because episode 16, Plan 99, does pick up right where 15, The Summit, kind of closes. Again, spoilers are coming for these final 2 episodes. And here is one of the big ones, which actually did get spoiled for me before I actually saw the episodes, but that's my fault for being active online and also taking my time to watch them. So connected to that, my first question to you both is Tech really dead? Because, there was no body, just goggles.
I don't see how he could survive, but they didn't show us the body. So, I mean, I think he's a prisoner. I just don't know how he would have survived that fall.
There's always a somehow in Star Wars.
Yeah. So this season was the Empire Strikes Back of a trilogy for me, where it was very dark and stuff.
Yeah.
And Empire Strikes Back was followed by Return of the Jedi, which is honestly one of my least favorite Star Wars films, because it's just so jovial the whole time. So cute and jovial. And I understand, like, you need to wrap up a finale, but for me, if they somehow Tech is still alive, we may have Return of the Jedi ourselves a little bit, just with like, he doesn't need to be alive. I don't see why he needs to exist. And
because I want him back.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
He's my favorite character on the show.
That's fair. But I think for me, like, I would much prefer if they just keep him dead and the characters have to deal with that. That's a much more, this show has been very mature when it's really dealing with serious topics. So I would appreciate it if it keeps being mature and lets a death happen.
Yeah, and you guys know, and if you're watching this for the first time, I've had a sort of a late coming, if you like, to animated Star Wars. I saw the Clone Wars movie and then didn't give anything else a chance afterwards. I only really got through the Clone Wars during the start of the pandemic, so we're talking 2020, and then started to get it, what people were talking about. And we all know I haven't finished Rebels yet, but I have started. I've done 2 seasons, and on the whole, I'm enjoying it. And same with the Bad Batch. There's been a lot I haven't really cared for, but at the same time, calling these kids shows, which a lot of people do, having not seen them, and I was doing as well before really getting into the Clone Wars, is just misplaced. This season at times has been far more mature than Mando season 3 was. you know. And I think these final 2 episodes do reflect the best moments of this season, because there's been a lot of episodes in this season that I just didn't really care for. They were fine, they were fun, they're enjoyable, but throw away. But this is sort of reflected the season where it's been at its best. And Chad, you said how dark it can be, and it's been at these 2 episodes, I think, were the season at its darkest best, and there has been some great dark moments, and also most focused best. And again, I've said this before, the consistent thing I'll say about this season and this series is it just looks and sounds gorgeous, and this was a really good looking, dark, moody finale. And what I really liked was, even though we're talking about them as 15 and 16, and there was an arc, they were very much connected, but at the same time they were so different, because 15 had this pretty big scale to it, right? Very action heavy. And then 16, the continuation, was just far more intimate, but at the same time, it had really big consequences.
I think you get bigger consequences when it's intimate. At least it feels bigger.
Yeah. So I was on your finale for Bad Batch season 1, and I went back and rewatched our live stream. And I had watched the 2 episodes back to back, and I'm really glad they released them that way now. But I remember we ended and we were like, yeah, it was a good season. I hope it goes somewhere. Like, it seems like, we don't know what it's setting up for. And I felt like this season had some really one-off nonsense episodes, but then also had some of the best Star Wars that I've been able to see. And these last 2 were one where, comparing it to how we felt about the last season's finale, this is set up for everything. And I had even said in the Discord, I was like, Jamie's Discord, if you're on his Patreon, I had even said, hey, I feel like there's going to be maybe one more season and then it's going to wrap up. And they said in the panel at Celebration, they're like, yeah, we knew exactly where the season was going to end. We've always planned it for one last season. We know how the show is going to end. And that felt so real here. Like, this feels like a planned out series. Mando with season 3 has now made me feel like that is the Law and Order of Star Wars, where it will go on for 15 seasons and people will still watch. But, Law and Order is a great show. There's an audience, but I would much rather watch something like a Breaking Bad that has a set plan. And I think that, not that Bad Batch is Breaking Bad, don't get me wrong, but I still enjoy that I feel like I'm going somewhere. And this season, for me, especially these last 2 episodes, really set that up.
Glenn, how did Bad Batch season 2 end for you?
It hurt. It really hurt watching Tech. First of all, I have a thing with heights. So any shot, I found even with animated, any shot looking down from a great height and then you can see the ground really sets me off. But watching my favorite character dangling like that, that was quite unpleasant.
So it was the worst way for him to die for you?
Pretty close. It's just like, no. Overall, though, I like the fact that they released it back to back, like Chad said, because I would have gone nuts waiting in a week for that last episode. I don't like releasing all episodes at once, but release a couple episodes together. That works for me. I have to say that they didn't. I wish they'd given Tech more with Fee. Is the one thing I think is missing. I think there should have been more Tech with Fee. Have Tech show signs of becoming actually interested. He's still in that shy, like, is she what? He doesn't understand what's going on. And that's because he, like he said earlier in the season, he processes things different. And I've seen talk online about whether or not Tech is on the spectrum, and I could see that. I've got a lot of friends who are, so I see it all the time, and I can see that in Tech. And I thought that was something interesting, that they were showing somebody who's on the spectrum who's still quite capable and is a badass in and of himself. And so that was one thing I picked up from that. But
Well,
I do
maybe
want
there
to say,
will be more time, Glenn. Chad
yeah,
hopes not. But no, sorry, Glenn, what were you going to
right.
say?
And part of me agrees with Chad. I hope that he stays dead, but I want him back. You know, story wise, I think it's better, you know, for him to stay dead. But I was just going to say, I think the Bad Batch season 2 is the Andor of the animated Star Wars.
Boom. Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
It's,
cannot, having not completed Rebels yet, I guess I can't agree with
Rebels
that
is
quite
good.
yet. But the fact that Chad agrees with it says something there.
And Chad, if you're ever looking for a TV show that had a plan from the get go, watch Babylon 5.
Okay.
He had a plan. So just get over the '90s low budget special effects.
Well, we haven't got time to babble on about Babylon 5
Right.
for
Oh,
one stream. Hey, but thank you for providing that opportunity for me there. Okay. How has this, or what has this left you most excited for, anxious for, in terms of what you want to see come up, get resolved in season 3?
I'm looking forward to Rex rescuing everybody. You know, and I think they are going to make an assault on Tantus.
I think for me, I'm trying to not think of anything and just go with the ride, because that's when I tend to enjoy a show the most. If I plan it out in my mind, or what I would hope to see is a finale. Like, I want it to actually end. And it sounds like it's going to, and I want it to end somewhere that works and makes sense. There's still a lot of things they need to answer. And like Omega and the Bad Batch and their entire future and what happens with them. If it's just they end up on this island peacefully and are chilling with those people for the rest of their lives, I think that's great. I just want closure, because Star Wars isn't always great with closure. So I would enjoy that. That would be
It looked like that's where they were heading until obviously Omega got captured, or
right.
Wrecker got captured initially.
Right.
So maybe we will get that closure ending, because this is really it. I believe they've confirmed this will be it anyway, haven't they?
Season 3 is the end.
Yep.
Do you guys
And,
think they might show the clone uprising in season 3?
I don't know. Maybe they've kind of hinted at that could be it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, but it's one of those things I'm not gonna give it too much of a thought, because then if they don't do it, I'd be like, oh, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
But this is the place to do it.
Oh, absolutely. It would make sense to do that.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. And we know for
Either that
sure,
or-
I believe we know for sure from the trailer that was shown that Palpatine will feature, and I think Fennec Shan's back as well, who was in season 1. I think that's confirmed because they were in the trailer. I didn't actually see the trailer despite being at Celebration, but
I haven't either.
in fact, have they even released it publicly yet? I don't know if it was on a Celebration only.
I don't know if it was one.
They did not. It was Celebration exclusive. So like, I saw it because there's always someone with a cell phone that
You've seen a dodgy version, yeah.
Yes. Now they didn't let you, like Jamie, afterward get the chance to watch all those things.
No, no. I mean, again, if you went in the panel, in fact, no, I think we did stream that panel, but I guess it went dark when the trailer played.
For a lot of the panels, like, they cut out the trailers. The only trailers that really got released that we saw was like Ahsoka and Young Jedi Adventures, and then the some other show, The Visions. Those are the only ones that got publicly released.
Yeah, no, I didn't really. It's funny, like on the first day, which was our busiest day in terms of working, I was at this event, I was living it, I was breathing it. Yet when I got back to my hotel room at like 11 p.m., I actually had to Google, so what actually happened? What got announced? Because you're just in your own bubble within this big thing that's going on. And, you know, and people part of the Star Wars Online team, they didn't seem to know either what was going to be announced, what for sure was going to be shown. Like, you'll assume an Ahsoka trailer is going to be shown, but didn't know for sure. So they were watching a private feed of the Lucasfilm panel on the first day backstage, so they can be ready to react, writing the scripts to react on stage as when the stream begins. So yeah, it was funny like that. And most people though I spoke to are there at the event just enjoying it, kind of didn't to mind that they weren't at panels, if they weren't lucky enough to get a ticket through the ballot system. And also, like me, didn't also seem to know what was being announced and stuff, because there's so much going on. They're just enjoying the various things that are going on and meeting people. So it's funny. It's almost like two celebrations you can go to in one. But yeah, anyway, more on that in the future. Let's give our scores individually now for the summit and Plan 99, and then just going to close out with some overall season thoughts. So first of all, Glenn, what would you give the summit out of 10?
9 for both of them.
Okay, cool.
9? Flat 9.
9 for the summit, and Plan 99. Plan 99. Double 9 from Glenn. Chad?
Yeah, it's probably a 9.5 for me on both of those.
I'm going to give 8.5 for both too. I loved how they were both actually very different to each other, but they satisfied me equally, and that's my 8.5 for Bad Batch. I've said before, I've given episodes of Andor, which for me is a far superior viewing experience to the Bad Batch. No offense, but I'm not comparing Bad Batch episodes to Andor episodes. I sort of have a different kind of thought process coming into rating the animated series, I guess. But still, high quality stuff, and do not call this a kid's show. And actually, get over yourself if you are calling it a kid's show, and that's the reason why you're not giving it a go. Because I was doing that. I was doing that for far too long and missed out on some great Star Wars with Clone Wars and now Rebels and Bad Batch. So if I can get over myself, then so can you. Okay. Let's have overall series score out of 10, and also a quick summary of your overall thoughts as well of the season, starting with Chad.
All right, I got to give this season overall an 8.5. It was better than last season, even though there were some episodes that I just couldn't stand. Now that I know what happens to Tech, who is kind of the focus here, I think it will mean more to watch it again, because I'm like, oh, look at him having fun before he dies. So that will be a little more impactful. And then I just, I dig this show overall. I think it's a great cartoon. I always view a cartoon different than live action, and I hold it to different standards. I accept a one-off a lot quicker in a cartoon, because I grew up watching Ninja Turtles, which is 192 episodes. 75% of which are one-offs, like Mikey's Bad Days is an entire episode. And so in a cartoon to have that's totally makes sense. So I loved it overall. 8.5.
8.5, pretty healthy. Glenn?
I'll give it an 8 for the whole season. I think I'm despite what I might have given, I don't remember what I gave season 1 overall, but I would rate this higher than season 1. I agree with Chad on that. It is an improvement. I think part of it's the dark turn that it took. I kind of like my shows dark, especially if they're an animated. Then I don't feel like such a weird person at my age watching a cartoon, as Chad put it. But no, these aren't kids' shows at all. I don't even know if I'd let a kid watch this show, to be honest, depending on their age. The season is leading, like I brought up, I think the season is gearing us towards a major conflict between lots of clones and the Empire. So the clone uprising, I think, is where this show's going, and season 2 really led us towards that. With all the stuff we know Rex was doing, and with what when Echo went off with Rex, so we're seeing a lot towards that, and I think it was a great season, but I think it was really a tweener, because it's between the introduction and then what apparently is going to be the final season. So yeah, we'll see what season 3 does. I think season 3 will really affect how I look at season 2. Yeah, because this is leading directly into something big.
You're right, and I think that's set in stone that this will be the final season. And Glenn, very quickly, finally, what would be, if you had if you could only pick one season highlight, what would it be?
Exploring Pabu, actually. That first episode with Pabu, the episode Pabu, just the island, seeing these people having a nice idyllic life while the Empire's out there was kind of nice to see.
And so we had an 8 from Glenn. We had an 8.5 from Chad. Chad, season highlight?
Oh, that would definitely be the episode The Outpost. That's arguably one of the best Star Wars things ever. I think it's just fantastic.
Glenn, I think you're nodding enthusiastically. You referenced it earlier as well.
Yeah. It's probably the best episode of the season, but my favorite moments were exploring Pabu. But yeah, I'd definitely give a 10 out of 10 for The Outpost.
And 0 out of 10 for Text Death.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we've got an 8.5 from Chad. We've got an 8 from Glenn. This is season overall. I can't. Maybe Chad, because you rewatched our last stream from season 1. I don't know what I gave season 1 overall, but I think I'm definitely in agreement with you both that this was a stronger overall season, because when I think back to season 1, really, apart from the final episode, my main memories are actually the pilot, the extended opening episode, which was fantastic, and then there was kind of a lot I didn't really care for in between. This season started that way for me, but certainly took a turning point in the right direction, a darker direction. And yeah, there were some episodes that I don't feel like I need to go back and watch, although maybe in the future there'll be a reason to. But overall, yeah, this is some fantastic Star Wars and some very grown-up kids television as well. Right. So I'm going to give the season overall, I'm going with a 7.5 for now, but that might get nudged up to an 8 at some point. But I'm on board. And I'm looking forward to finishing Rebels. Now I feel like I've run out of excuses, and people are now calling Ahsoka Rebels season 5. Is that right? Were there 4 seasons of Rebels?
Yeah.
4 seasons of Rebels.
So now I feel like this is it now. I've got to finish Rebels. And I've only stalled because of life, and there was around the time I started properly watching, there was some other great stuff coming out in the moment. So I didn't stall because I wasn't enjoying it. So yeah, I will finish Rebels, and maybe we'll do a chat about that when I finally
do an episode every night before you go to sleep.
Yeah, I could do that. A bit of bedtime viewing. Yeah, why not? I'm not going to read, so let's do that. Guys, thank you. Well, Glenn, thank you for joining us for this finale chat batch. And Chad, thank you for joining me throughout the season. You can go back and watch Chad and I chat batching about other batches of episodes as well. And everything that Chad and Glenn mentioned about themselves will be linked in the video description. So go and check out the YouTube channels, the podcast. And yeah, thanks, guys. I think that's it. Did I miss anything? I mean, that's it, right? I think we've done it. We've done the chat batch season 2. We'll be back for season 3 at some point in the future, all being well. So, guys, thanks again. And you know what happens, right? Now you're going to be doing the in-person wave with me, Glenn, for the first time, because I click end broadcast. It was end recording this time because we're pre-recording, and there's an awkward lag before it actually ending. It'll be less awkward maybe if we're pre-recording, less long anyway. So, anyway, I'm about to click. So get ready. I'm clicking now. Thank you for watching, by the way, everybody. And I'll see you.
Don't forget to be awesome
Soon. Keep waving.